So let's try to maybe do it blind in a way too, like where we don't look at them all at once, or well, I don't care. Let's just do it. So let's try to come up with some, this is one thing I would do with those, like make some relevant terms for each thing, right? And something more interesting than just this. Unwatchable trash, like horrifying. And then there's like a theme to horror movies that I would talk about. So like jump scare, bait, trash. And then this one is like scares without substance, where I always say that. Like even some of the good revered horror movies like Halloween and stuff, they have some good elements to them, but there's nothing more to it than just, oh, the killer trying to get you. Right, so now there's almost too many tiers in this one. I feel like five would be enough. Another would be like some depth and then a lot of depth. Gimmick, like good, but a gimmick. Like gimmicky ghoul. I don't fucking know. I'm trying to alliterate. Gimmicky graveyard. Like just something that is good, but it doesn't, whatever. I won't even use the very top tier. There's just too many. So we'll do this one as like something that has more depth. Or yeah, that was the joke I was making. Is like we could maybe fit that in here, like one that's skin deep or something, right? Like oh, the killer cuts with a knife and it's only skin deep, but in the sense of this, like it doesn't go any further with its material than just the surface of what you expect. So let's think of a term like that where something that's like knife to the heart almost, or something that shows you how deep it goes, right? Like heart piercing, that it has depth and story and whatever. These weren't really the most inspired titles, I guess. So one of these should be, it wouldn't really fit here because it's too high, but it's meant to be like skin deep slasher. But yeah, this should be a reverse with something. Or maybe not, I don't know. Like it does everything good on the, kind of the same as scares without substance almost, but it's like it does everything good on the surface, but it doesn't do anything deeper for you, right? So many of these I maybe haven't even seen or I don't remember super well. So I maybe will skip them. I'm not too big on oh, you know what, we almost need a fodder category to, wait, it's not even working right. Oh, now it is, okay. The Army of Darkness, let me just see what we have to work with here. The Evil Dead, like I'll just put a lot of these here if I'm not super, if I don't have something super interesting to say about them. Not even that I haven't seen them or whatever, but like Friday the 13th is okay, but it wasn't like anything mind blowing. There's actually some really funny reviews by Siskel and Ebert of these that are like, and one that somebody cut together in a really funny way, where he's like, he keeps making him say the same thing over and over, like this kid who had got kid in a wheelchair whose head got hacked open by a machete, and he keeps making him say it over and over, and they kind of cut together things that make it sound like really believable, but it's actually just from other reviews and stuff. It's like an outdoor adventure picture, but whatever. They hated those movies. Um, but again, the one thing I don't do with them is I don't moralize them in the sense that, oh, like it's somehow reprehensible, or sometimes there'll be that like a moral high ground. I don't have any issue with that. Like it's meant to be what it is. Like even if it's gross, right? These are things I don't really like. My reputation for being objective, both in my debate format, I guess, and in reviews. It's like, oh, it's gross, but it's meant to be gross, right? They say that about the thing, right? I think Cisco and Ebert, but maybe other critics like, oh, it's gross, but it's meant to be gross. You don't think that creature that's trying to kill everybody, that's this amalgamation of all these different things over time that's absorbed, you don't think it's supposed to be gross? Like that's the point, and the effects are very good. So I'm not going to judge it like that to say, oh, it looks ugly, therefore it's bad. No, the intent is that it's supposed to be ugly, and in fact, the fact that you find it so ugly is actually effective and to its credit. So, um, I mean, some of these are really stupid too. Like there'll be, Jason Part 10, where yeah, I don't want to go through each of these sequels, and you might always wonder that in a general sense, why do these horror movies get so many sequels? It's because they're often very cheap to make, right, compared to other things. So they're cheap to make, and they can be very formula in the sense that they're again, they don't require any deeper narrative. It's like, oh, it's just skin deep. The deepest you're gonna go is just how either some horny teenagers going deep into each other there, or again, the knife of the killer going deep into somebody. But that's the whole framing, is that there doesn't need to be any depth to it, or there's no expectation of it. Jason, what even is this? But no, it's like Jason acts like, oh, they go into space and they're kind of running out of ideas. And honestly, a lot of these I'm not even gonna have much to say about. So how do I scroll up though? This is kind of trash to do. I was even saying this doesn't have to suffer too much for being on mobile, but this is really hard to do. So again, the original Halloween though is the point of is again either I haven't seen some of these, or I don't remember them, or I don't really care about them enough to really be an expert on this. But Halloween is interesting because again, this is a perfect example of this category, I guess, is that it's good on an effective level of again, it's effective. You could say, okay, it's scary, although I'm not the type to get scared anyway. But again, the build up by Donald Pleasance of how he talks about Michael Myers is good, right? Some of that dialogue is dramatic. Some of the build up of Michael standing around and kind of stalking and doing all that is good. Um, so again, it's effective, but it's not. I guess I would love to hear it even from a fan of the movie, right? Because it's such a revered, not even a cult classic. It's just a very, considered a classic. Period. It's good in those ways, like the basic presentation, right? Especially given the budget and everything like that, and the music was made by John Carpenter too and stuff. But does it have any other depth or meaning or theme to it? And you might think, oh, that's unfair to expect that. But I mean, every movie, every story in some way, right, is expected to do that. So how can it be so great without that, right? That's what would make it truly heart piercing. Not even so much heart piercing like scary, heart piercing like profound or meaningful, right? We want to see signs on this list. Or again, The Exorcist, where at least they try to have some other depth going on to them. What is the depth of Halloween, right? It starts off again, it's interesting and dramatic how they introduce and present the villain, right? The way that Donald Pleasance's character talks about him, Dr. Loomis, right? his dialogue is good to build up the killer, but again, that's still related to the killer. Then all the other characters are just, you know, school typical generic characters, horny teenagers partying. Like, what is the other deeper meaning? And you might think, why should we expect that? But there's no like huge character arc or development. Again, Signs maybe is one of the one of the good examples. Then again, you have the character losing his faith, gaining it back, all of this. So yeah, this kind of shows you even by simply doing a tier list. That's all I'm trying to do is like, oh, we're trying to get in the Halloween spirit, and X Film Critic takes a trip down memory lane and tries to do a tier list. But even by doing this, simply by looking at the options that we have here, the whole horror genre is catching strays that, oh, they don't have any depth, they don't have any deeper meaning, there's no point to them, they're just mindless slashers, escapism, lowest common denominator. But even by looking at what's on here, like, oh yeah, they're just endless sequels, cheap, low budget trash, right? This is what I mean. Like, I don't even care about doing most of these. Just by looking at the options, like it's all just trash. Um, just fodder, low budget, endless sequels. The Nightmare on Elm Street, I maybe don't remember super well, but it's pretty much in the same category as that. I forget exactly how it works with the dreams and everything. One thing I'll say is Freddy Krueger kind of freaked me out when I was a kid. Just like I remember being at some restaurant actually. I can't remember exactly where or how how old I was, but I was at some restaurant and we were, just whatever at a table by the window eating, and like across the street there was this statue of Freddy Krueger outside of some place, I don't know, some other building. And I just kept looking at that, and that actually did kind of freak me out the way he looked there. So just the imagery of that one, and what else freaked me out as a kid? The Grinch, the trailer for The Grinch with Jim Carrey. For some reason, one of those trailers was presented in a bit of a scary way. Again, this is when I was much younger, but still. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. Give me some that I actually care about, or like I'll do one for each series. Um, Wes Craven. Wait, this can't be all of them. What is shit list? Like don't give us all these for the. Uh, yeah, so this is an expert tier list. Friday the 13th. I mean, those are like the three big series, but give us, one from each series, like Saw, or give us Hellraiser, even though that's not maybe all that well known. The original, give us, The Thing, give us They Live, even though I don't consider that super much like horror, but almost evolves into an action movie. Or I guess that's why it says not every horror movie, but I mean, it doesn't have to be famous just by that. Um, just by Internet Horror Series. Long list of movies of horror, but don't do sequels over and over. Oh, I don't want to do this again, though. So many of these I'm not going to even know what they are. Yeah, give us The Thing. It's interesting to think about, like, how much the genre can you be used as an excuse, right? Oh, it's just meant to be scary. Oh, so just give us some jump scares. Oh, it's meant to be, some effects and flashy stuff, but hundreds of horror movies. Hmm. I want one that's comprehensive, but not like, yeah, let's do horror games, which again, it's not a genre that I've done very much with at all. So over 500. I love these that say that I've seen. Like, who the fuck are you that anybody cares? Like, is this some famous person who's actually doing this? Trying to think like what's like one that's a guilty pleasure or like one that I would like that other people wouldn't like. I guess Signs isn't so much like that, but it's more extreme. Like it's one that I consider one of the best movies ever that other people would consider just good or okay. right. Ultimate horror movies list. Okay, 182. Okay, so let's just do it by the franchise. So like Saw is really not that good, right? It's the premise. Again, I'm counting this as just like the first movie. Um, it's not really that good because the gimmick of it, like, okay, let's play a game, want to play a game is fine, but um, these are either not seen or I don't care. So let's do this into like let's do that in that sort of top tier. The Fly is okay. Invisible Man, I honestly don't remember some of these well enough. Again, Saw, we're just going to count the same thing. Cabin in the Woods is a perfect, like, good example of a C where it's kind of a gimmick, right? The gimmick behind it is cool and interesting, but beyond that, it's not that special. It's basically actually the movie version, or I guess you could say Until Dawn is the game version of that, right? Where everything is sort of a plan or part of some bigger whatever. It's all like a simulation kind of, which I guess spoils it if you were whatever, expecting that, but Shaun of the Dead, I don't care. Or yeah, that's the worst. They clown on those two genres. So I say like, horror uses its genre as an excuse just to give a couple cheap scares and have no deeper meaning. And the same is true of comedy movies. So the worst movie ever would be a comedy horror hybrid that uses both as an excuse. Um, yeah, some of these I'm not gonna worry about. Jennifer's Body. But I hate that idea of repetition. Like we're getting triggered by sequels by not even watching them, but just by, you know, this was just very influential, so I have to give it very high marks, but I still won't give it an S, although there's some nuance to it. It's just something more from okay, let's do the scary movie franchise. It's actually pretty damn good. Right, for its purpose, I have to give it high marks. Although sometimes it does stuff too much on the nose. Child's Play is very good. This is a perfect example of like a B, where this is almost a guilty pleasure one. And again, we're just talking about the original with all of these, but it's a guilty pleasure because it's kind of predictable. You know exactly where it's going to go. It's like a premise picture, I call it, right? That some things, like a premise picture, is like where you go in, you can kind of imagine the board meeting where they kind of pitch it. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we had this movie where this doll comes to life and terrorizes people and kills people? And then they'll use like one scene or one quote as an example. Oh, yeah, this would be so cool. And then you act like, oh, then you ask like, oh, so what else is there to the movie? That's just the premise, right? But oh, that's all there is, right? That's basically it. So it's very predictable. The doll's trying to kill people. It goes through some cliches, and that's about it, right? There's nothing deeper to it, but it's still somewhat entertaining. So that's a tough one for me because, like, it's not really good or anything special, but you still have to say, okay, I didn't completely hate it. Twilight Zone the movie was actually kind of underwhelming. That sort of anthology thing is not doesn't work so well as a movie. I guess my memory with some of these isn't the greatest. I'll be honest with you. Same thing. So we're not gonna. Okay, this is one that actually deserves some. This is me talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So let's just kind of mirror what we're doing there a little bit. Maybe not do. Maybe let's not do 1.5, but let's do. I almost should just do it again. Period. But or can you not do that on? Oh yeah. Here we go. Let's do like 1.5 speed. So yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of surprised me the first time I saw it. It's kind of gritty. It's shot almost like a documentary style, almost like a found footage. So it's more gritty. It's meant to be more realistic. Play it straight. So some people criticize it, but I hold it in pretty high regard. So I'm going to put it in the A tier here, or maybe even in the S, or not quite, because it falls short of S. Why? Because
it doesn't have the deeper story resonance to it, which it almost does, because again, the girl kind of going crazy at the end, laughing on the back of the truck, like this existential life affirming experience. But again, it's told more straight. Like, it doesn't try to make it kind of cartoonish or anything. It's like, it tells it as though it's like a real event happening, right? And it's sort of shot in a messy way, again, a little more realistic, like documentary found footage. So it's trying to play it straight. So if you, but it's just gross and it's irredeemable, kind of a thing. But then aren't these all like that? So it doesn't try to make it as much of a cinema as like cinematic. It tries to make it more, again, gritty. So I can appreciate that. It still lacks like the further depth of storytelling that I seek, like from a movie like Signs, which wasn't even on this list. The problem is I don't even know what I'm talking about as I'm watching this, because it's like unless I'm hovering over something. It's even on 1.5 speed too. That's so annoying to lose that. It's like an hour of my in-depth cinema analysis. I don't like redoing stuff like this. So what you have here is the ability to consider that. Again, that probably will end off in the highest spot, what I remember. I don't think anything maybe even got in the S tier. Come to think of it, a lot of these either I haven't seen, or it wasn't even that I hadn't seen them, it's that I didn't care about them per se. The Children of the Corn, I was using that C tier as like the gimmick tier. So like, Cabin in the Woods has a great premise. It's a premise picture. What a cool idea. Let's have this Cabin in the Woods. It's like Until Dawn basically uses a similar premise, and everything is sort of scripted and a simulation, and it's all part of some plan and trick, right? So it's a great premise, but it doesn't do anything outstanding beyond that. So it's just a cool idea, guilty pleasure. Same thing, Children of the Corn is a great idea, right? This sort of cultish mentality and the kid being evil and all this, and then it's like a sequel to The Good Son if that kid survived or something. But yeah, those are like the gimmick ones. Even Child's Play, I was doing it more so for the first one. I wasn't caring about the sequels for any of these, but yeah, like the Child's Play was like, it's like a guilty pleasure also. Like, you know where it's going. It's just premise heavy, right? Oh, wouldn't it be cool if this doll came to life and killed everybody? You can imagine them pitching it. It's like, oh, what more depth is there to it than that? And there's not much, right? Oh, he kills the babysitter, frames the boy for it. He's terrorizing the boy. It's a killer doll. Like, it's all predictable, but it's still sort of enjoyable to watch. So again, the C tier is sort of like that. The premise, even Final Destination, that's really what I was doing. It's an awesome premise, great idea, but then it's just sort of, okay, we get it, right? Like, it's just the same thing over and over, even in the first movie, never mind even the sequels. The Witch, I was really disappointed by. That was a really hyped up movie, very well received by critics, and I thought it was very overrated. It's very overrated from the sense that it's just kind of bland and doesn't go anywhere. Not saying it has to be like action-packed or nonstop jump scares, but it was just like there wasn't enough depth. Like, the family's having some issues and stuff like that, but so what? It wasn't like super engaging that way, and it also wasn't like super effective in any other way. Like, it's just sort of bland and dry, and you're just kind of waiting for something to happen, which again, I'm not saying it has to be jump scares, over the top stuff, but to me it was just sort of bland. There wasn't much to it, and even the ending is kind of dumb. Spoiler alert, I guess, because it's this fact that they, like, oh, she's constantly accused of being a witch, but she's not a witch, I guess, and then she becomes a witch by the end because she's been falsely accused so much. It's like it's like a psychological effect, right? You bully somebody for, like, you bully a kid in school for being a certain way. Like, you can say, oh, this guy must be crazy, this guy's weird. But they're fine, they're just quiet. But then because you treat them that way and preconceive that, now they become that way, right? Because you're again, you're sort of manifesting or preconceiving. So you go in with a negative preconceived notion, and then you make it into reality by, oh yeah, and I had all these names for the tiers, so like heart piercing, right? Trying to come up with something horror related for each of these. So let's see how long this is gonna go on for, man. heart piercers. There's like premise pictures is one of my favorite terms, or like ghoulish gimmicks. I think I maybe said. Right, like a premise picture where, again, you can imagine the pitch. Like, wouldn't it be a cool idea if we did this? Okay, cool. But then what? What about it? Right, like the Truman Show is a good example of the opposite of that. The premise is great. Like, oh, what if this guy's life was a TV show? But then they go so far with it. Right, they go into a whole existential, midlife crisis with him and so many different things. So you have to kind of go a little further and deeper with your material, right, than just the surface level like that. So again, a lot of these I just didn't care to really talk about if I didn't have anything interesting to say about them. It almost makes me want to do this again, like on PC or whatever, but I'll just do this. I'll probably put this on my main channel because I haven't put anything on there in a while. I try to put like different things on there that are more like noteworthy or whatever. Again, The Witch is overrated. I didn't see the hype with that. Again, The Purge, another like premise picture, cool premise, but not much more than that. Twilight Zone, the movie, was kind of overrated or just underwhelming. The anthology style doesn't work as well with that. Jump scare bait. So jump scare bait, ghoulish gimmicks, and like skin deep slasher. Like it goes as far as you can go without really getting to the heart of it, if you will, like some deeper theme or meaning. We're kind of ranking the original It, and it's kind of it's a pretty bad movie. Again, whether the book validates that or not, it's hard to say, but in the end, he's a spider. It's like, it's just random shit. The performance is pretty good by Tim Curry, but other than that, it's pretty forgettable. So again, Halloween is even one of those that I use in that skin deep tier. Vertigo is good. I mean, the Hitchcock movies are kind of, speak for themselves, but like Halloween I put there too. Because again, it's good, it's effective, right? He's following everybody around, it's kind of creepy, it's, we get it, but what greater depth or value is there? Is there some sort of resonance to it? Or is it just, he's just trying to kill people? Donald Pleasance builds it up. Hellraiser is unique. I was kind of mixed because I personally like it, but it has a lot of flaws. Kirsty's acting, the actress is pretty bad at times. Julia's acting is good, and her character is kind of interesting, how she gets corrupted by her urges for Frank, and she becomes a killer and all that. Frank himself is a fascinating character. It's a great practical effects achievement. Right, the Cenobites look really good. I compare it to The Thing in that sense. Two of the greatest practical effects achievements, The Thing, John Carpenter, and Hellraiser, the original Hellraiser, but also it's just lacking something, right? Like it's decent, interesting story, but there's some amateurish elements to it. But again, the Cenobites look really good, although you only see them a couple of times. Frank, like I said, I like is this sort of body snatching, dimension drifting guy who's able to cheat death, escape the Cenobites, do so much, mischief, and sort of just makes him seem so crafty and so like a guy who cheated death, and he was seeking the ultimate hedonism. And I love his whole experience of his character, even though he's sort of the villain too. Right, he's able to do all this. He steals whatever, like he goes through so much. The Cenobites try to kill him, he escapes them, then he gets his body back by sheer chance, then he gets Julia to help him get his body back, then he steals his brother, right, his brother's body or face or whatever. He goes through so much that he's able to escape and survive and just be like this cockroach who just won't go away. Again, it's sort of like a savant picture where you would say, it's great in some ways. Practical effects are great. Julia's performance is good. Frank's character is interesting. The Cenobites are well presented. But then some of the other elements are awkward. Kirsty's acting, everything, dialogue is a little bland at times. So it's really bad in some ways and really great in some ways, which is probably what I'm saying right now. So I guess I'm the type with that sort of thing where I'd look at the glass half full, that it does some things really, really well despite overall seeming like a bad movie. And it sort of is that elevated horror, like the tiered horror concept, the idea that, oh, you present Frank as the monster in the house, right? So Frank's the creepy monster in the house, and he's like a zombie, and he's coming to life, and he's getting Julia to kill people, and then he's going to end up killing everybody. Right, that alone could be the premise of the movie, but then it's a tier above. Like, oh, now the real horror is leagues above him, the Cenobites. And it's like, so it's like horror within a horror. You have the monster in the house, but the monster in the house is just the tip of the iceberg. You actually have the other Cenobites way above that, and they act as like this chaotic, Lovecraftian force that's not really good or bad, right? Demons to some, angels to others, like... Let's see, what else we have here, 40 minutes. I'm getting a little impatient with this, but I really hate having to do this, and I'll come to find out this is muted too. That's the problem with having such a dead stream, is that nobody's there to tell you that. And it just happened randomly too, right? Like the first 40 minutes was fine. It's not like there's any copyrighted music or shit, it's just all, But no, my general review, not to jinx it early, but is this Starlink actually works pretty well. Right, and the only issue now is the battery. If I wanted to do this for much longer. So we'll finish this. I don't know what I'm even talking about at this point. I don't know what I just moved there. The Witch is overrated. Some of these are gimmicky premise pictures. Horror movies in general are a bit of a gimmick. Just a bunch of jump scares, effects, right? Excuse, low budget, turn them out, sequelitis. Right, so it's a very disreputable genre from that perspective. Very few of them have any profound meaning or value to them. Very few even try. Okay, It Follows is extremely overrated, where, again, the whole basic premise is, okay, there's like, the monster, its manifestation is always in the background following you, and you see it walking in the background as the characters are talking, like, wow, that's a cool effect. But so what? That's all there is to the movie. There's no other depth, no nuance. The characters are forgettable. This is one that was touted by critics, but it's actually very, very ordinary and very overrated, like The Witch. I'm putting it right next to. So again, yes, the thing is following you in the background, and wow, there's some scenes where like the characters are oblivious and they're just sitting there talking, and if you're astute as an audience member, you'll see, oh look, it's following them in the background, how cool. Right, but so what? Like, it's not... I just could never take it seriously. It's one of those that gets kind of convoluted in its own minutia of how the thing works, like the rules around it. Oh, we can beat it if we do this, or if we close the door, or like it'll just be one of those really suspension of disbelief nightmares that it's just going to work in arbitrary ways, and all the concern and dialogue is going to be, again, of how this thing works or doesn't work, but it doesn't matter because there's nothing more to the story. Very basic, very bland, forgettable characters, a lot of just round and round about the technical, like, oh, how the powers work, how they don't work. The Shining, great images. Again, I love the ballroom. I love a lot of those scenes where he's talking to the ghosts, like the bartender and the Grady in the bathroom and all this. The problem is it's sort of random and arbitrary, so I do think it's a bit overrated. Shelley Duvall's performance is bad, despite people trying to sympathize with her and stuff like this in her older age, especially people are feeling bad, but it's got nothing to do with that. Right, it is a little over the top. Some people say, oh, that's what like real terror looks like or something, but I don't think her performance was very good, period. And even Jack Nicholson kind of starts off the movie a little bit too crazy, so it doesn't make the development of him becoming crazy as meaningful. Stephen King even didn't like it himself, although to be fair, he's liked some of the movies that aren't very good. Right, some of the other movies, adaptations that didn't do so well. So again, it's got some beautiful visuals, well presented, good atmosphere. But on one hand, Jack Torrance isn't a very threatening character or killer, because he kills one guy, the cook, and then everybody else he gets outfoxed by his kid and his wife. So it's not like he's that impressive or that scary or intimidating. He's a bit of a clown, actually. And then also it's the fact that there's like a lot of random arbitrary stuff, especially that happens towards the end. That almost is what ruins it for me. It's one thing if Jack is somehow interacting with these manifestations, and even Danny is obviously the Shining, and he's sort of bringing them out by his presence there. But then suddenly towards the end, Shelley Duvall's character, right, Wendy, she starts seeing stuff. She goes out in the ballroom and there's skulls and the blood from the elevator. It's like, let's just get everything out at the end. Just a bunch of little gimmick imagery, but it's just random. It feels arbitrary, right? Like, oh, it's because Danny's bringing all this stuff out all of a sudden, but because he's in a heightened state of adrenaline or whatever, it just feels random, right? It's a movie that has a lot of random, arbitrary images, and of course you have the Stanley Kubrick effect of, like, people try to sniff his farts and over-explain and analyze everything he does, like, oh, there's a deeper meaning, and oh, you just don't get it, but let's count, like, the random images and everything like that, right? The random images are, like, okay, the woman in the bathtub, who room 213 or whatever it was, right? And so Danny goes in there, gets beat up by her, and then Jack goes in there, right, and then is being, like, seduced by her or something, and then he runs away. It's like, to an average audience member, you're watching this, like, it's just random. Okay, there's a random ghost woman, whatever, in the bathtub. So, like, there's no deeper meaning to that, and we don't hear any follow-up, and there's nothing, right? It could be some story where maybe she, did something in there before where she passed away in the tub, whatever. And I'm sure in the book you'd say, oh, you got to read the book, but you shouldn't have to do that. So to us as the viewer of the movie, in and of itself, it's just a random scene. Random girl in the bathtub, that's it. Right, like, there's nothing, so it's just random. Okay, you go to a random room, girl in the bathtub. Any other context to that doesn't matter because we don't get that from the movie. Oh, you'd have to read the book and you find out the story of who she was and this and that. Like, you should give us a little dialogue or follow-up. Like, we just see her, that's it, it's done. Then there's a lot of moments like that too. Like, okay, at the bar, there's some nuance to that because he's, like, off the wagon and trying to, he's having alcoholic urges and stuff like that. So it's like, this is like almost the bartender is almost trying to tempt him, right, to go back to being an alcoholic. And then the guy, Grady, in the bathroom is trying to tempt him to kill his family the same way that he was, like, the previous caretaker. So there's some nuance and good scenes in there, but to me, it's just like a lot of arbitrary random images, especially towards the end. You have the bear guy kneeling down, doing something doing some, erotic act with the other guy. It's just, and that comes off as a kind of comical, right? Oh, the music comes on and, like, it's scary, but it's scary that there'd be anybody in the hotel at all. But the fact that they're doing that, right? Like, the thing is, based on the book, there'll be all these stories like, oh, this was this character who had this past and this history. But based on the movie, we don't get any of that, right? So we just literally see, so that might be a scene in the book, but it would have been more nuanced to it. Like, oh, we would have heard the story about who this was or something. The thing is that we literally just see, oh, there's a dude performing some oral act on a guy in a bear suit, and it's like, that comes off as funny and goofy and random and comical. And there's no, this is Stanley Kubrick in this movie. Shows a random girl in the bathtub and doesn't elaborate. Oh, what a masterpiece. What a great thing. Even if you come up with an explanation for it, there is no, the movie has no interest in that. It's literally using it as just a gimmick and then it moves on. There couldn't be one sentence like earlier, like, oh, this woman, did something, passed away in the bathtub. Right, just some earlier thing, like, that had just been mentioned offhandedly, and now you see, oh, that's like, it was some tragedy that happened there. Right, like, give us a little, I don't know, give us any sort of elaboration on it. So, oh, the guy in the bear suit giving this oral act, it's like, okay, that's just totally random. No elaboration, no reference, nothing. It's just a random thing. So even if you find value in the book, there's nothing by watching the movie that you would find like, oh, that's just goofy, silly, funny, even arbitrary, random. Right, so again, you get a lot of random images. Even towards the end, you have the blood in, like, the elevator. You have the blood coming out. You have some of the skulls. You have, I must have been talking about this for quite a while too. So I think it's an overrated movie. A lot of random images, a lot of just kind of insists upon itself a little bit, doesn't elaborate on anything, right? So people try to read into deeper meanings with this, but it's like, again, you have the twins, you have the woman in the bathtub. I'm not even saying it's bad. I'm just saying if it's random or arbitrary, okay, it's just a series of random ghosts that you're seeing. That's fine. But that doesn't make it profound. Like, okay, there's the woman in the bathtub. Okay, cool. So what? Right? And then, again, I'll give you some credit to those other scenes, like the talking to the guy in the bathroom, like he's trying to corrupt him, and talking to the bartender. He's trying to get him to become an alcoholic again. Right, some of those scenes are good. But yeah, one of the problems is when Wendy sees all that at the end, it doesn't make sense because she hasn't interacted with anybody up to that point. Like, she hasn't seen anybody in the in the hotel up to that point. So now she suddenly does, and it's like, man, this is going on for a long ass time, and I'll never know exactly what I said because imagine if it mutes this again. I'd be so pissed. Like, I don't know for sure whether it's captured. There should be some maybe better feedback that it is actually capturing the mic right now. But yeah, we'll wait till, let me go 2 times speed. I'm getting sick of this. But yeah, we got, again, The Shining's a bit overrated because, again, there's a bunch of random things, random images. People try to read into it too much. This Stanley Kubrick effect, they try to, really overdo everything that he does, right? Overanalyze when it's just a bunch of random stuff. Even if you say, oh, it's from the book, you got to read the book, but you shouldn't have to do that to make sense of it or to value it. So what a masterpiece. This random dude in a bear suit and this guy are going at it towards the end. How scary or how profound, even though there's nothing to go on with that. It's just random. Or like, again, the girl in the bathtub, the tragedy happened. We can kind of interpret a little bit, but again, the movie has no interest in that. It doesn't care. Here's the twins. There they are. A little scare moment. Or, oh, here's the woman in the bathtub. Here's the guy at the bar. Here's the guy in the, in the bathroom. Those 2 scenes are at least better because it's like, the hotel kind of trying to corrupt him. Let's try to make him an alcoholic again. Let's try to make him, turn on his family. Right? So those 2 I can accept. That they're kind of doing it in a more of a sly way. Right, they're not directly just telling him, like, oh, here's a drink, it's on the house. And that line has great resonance, actually. Like, I like to know who's paying my drink for me. It's almost like a deal with the devil moment. Like, oh, don't worry, it's paid for. And it's almost like he's paying with his soul in a way. Right, that like, oh, the bartender will pick up his tab. American Psycho, a bit overrated. It's the effect that I say with Eyes Wide Shut. First of all, it's not even a horror movie at all. But you have this, but you don't have Signs. What an insult, which Signs would go on my top because, again, it has the nuance of the character development and growth and loss of his faith, getting it back, kind of like The Exorcist, right, where there's nuance to it. It's not really about the aliens, even if you criticize the aliens as an aspect. And then you have, again, American Psycho, I put it in the same category with Eyes Wide Shut, which I guess that could be considered a bit more of a horror movie still, but Eyes Wide Shut and American Psycho both build up things pretty well throughout their movie, but then they kind of ditch the payoff at the end, and it's kind of underwhelming. So, like, the Willem Dafoe character, you see a couple times, they're like, oh, he's investigating Patrick, he's on to him, and then what's the payoff? I'm not saying whether it should be positive or negative. He gets caught, or he gets away, or he kills him too, or whatever. But there's no payoff. We just don't see him again, and then that's it, and the movie just ends. So that's not a good enough thing. Like, you built it up. Then what's the point of that character? You see him a couple times, they have a couple similar conversations, and then that's it. There should have been some final payoff. Either at the end, okay, he arrests him and he finally gets Patrick, or, he talks to Patrick and, verifies that, okay, somehow they think he didn't do it, like, to confirm that he got away, or, again, Patrick kills him too, or something like that. So, there's no payoff. It doesn't matter what the payoff is. It's like you build that character up, you build up some nuance that, oh, he might actually get caught, or there might be some intrigue, and then, oh, the whole thing's just a dream, or, oh, he just gets away with it with no real... Again, it's too much build-up that just goes to waste. So I think the ending is what hurts it. It's still a good movie, but the ending kind of ruins it because you're not giving any payoff to those Willem Dafoe scenes. Is there some real chance of him getting caught? Is there some intrigue? And then it just kind of ditches the payoff. Again, either he does actually get caught, or he doesn't, but give us a little more from that. Have Willem Dafoe come again, and he's at the party, and Patrick's trying to talk to him, and he just dismisses Patrick, like, oh, hey, Patrick, how's it going? Like everything's fine, and he's been paid off, or he's somehow, they don't think he did it anymore, right? Give us some sort of line of dialogue that, like, oh, we found this other thing here, so, like, they're off the track somehow. Right, they got distracted somehow. And again, Eyes Wide Shut also builds up a similar way. Or, one other thing about American Psycho is people in this meme culture and Sigma culture and stuff think that they're so edgy for finding it funny or something, but like you think you're so cool for finding it funny, but it's actually meant to be like that. It's a satire. The book is based on is a satire. It's meant to be a dark comedy, so you're not as edgy and cool as you think for finding it funny, right? It's meant to be funny in sort of a dark and satirical, sarcastic way. And then, Eyes Wide Shut, it builds up, oh, this guy's following Tom Cruise down the street, and oh, they're giving him the letter to back off when he drives up to the gate, and oh, they have the party scene, and oh, they have, he's looking for his friend who at the hotel who's gone missing now. The Nightingale. So you have all these scenes, and it's like, oh, what's the payoff to that? Is he going to bring down the cult? Is he going to get killed? Is he going to, have some final kind of confrontation? I guess they have that pool scene with Ziegler, but that doesn't really do much for us. Right, that's not much of a payoff. Give us some sort of payoff. You built up all those scenes. You can say, oh, it's not about that. It's about their sex obsession and relationship and infidelity. But if you're going to build up scenes of like 5 minutes of Tom Cruise walking down the street and he has this guy following him, but oh, that's all meaningless. Nothing's going to happen to Tom, and it's all just all this stuff with the cult and the party doesn't matter. Well, then why waste 5 minutes of precious screen time doing that? And another, you're building it up like some real intrigue drama. Is he going to try to take the cult down? Is he going to expose something? Is he going to, again, get killed? Like, you just throw all of that out. Again, whatever the payoff is, they just ditch the payoff. So I think when you spend precious minutes of screen time on that, I find it very, very underwhelming, right? You waste time doing that. Right, some of these we're just kind of doing quickly, I guess. Jaws. I wasn't really too interested in talking about these, but yeah, you waste half the movie all about this intrigue of the cult and the threat that it might pose and all what's going on with it. Is he going to expose it? Is he going to catch them somehow? Is he going to Silence of the Lambs are pretty good, although I don't like either of their voices. Even Anthony Hopkins tones it down in the following movies. Like, he's talking in such a way like he's trying too hard, and Jodie Foster also has that fake accent. So it's like two people talking, like Bane talking to Batman in The Dark Knight Rises. Like, they both sound a little bit off and awkward. But no, this this thing is again, Eyes Wide Shut. You build up so many scenes, so much intrigue about the suspense of the cult and the party and all this stuff going on, and then there's no adequate payoff. You just, again, guy following Tom Cruise down the street, just meaningless, right? It doesn't matter. All these different things, the party, the guy missing at the hotel, even if you say, oh, that's not what the movie's about, it doesn't matter, you're still wasting so much time doing it, right? Why show us all this and then, oh, what's the payoff? There is no payoff. Like, oh, he was just sex deprived and obsessing over all this, but so what? Then why waste our time, doing that? Give us something, right? You have the game of pool where he plays with Ziegler and then he reveals some of it, but it doesn't really provide much of a payoff. Either, he should reveal something, take somebody down for it. Just give us something, That's the ultimate two failed payoffs that prevent those from being really good movies, because again, American Psycho, you build up all this stuff with the detective and just, again, whether he's going to get caught or the clues he's leaving, and it's just throw it all out. It doesn't matter. We're going to make you sit through it as an audience member and act like, oh, you do care about it, but then, it doesn't matter. Not that it matters in a good way or bad way. Like, oh, look how careful he was, that's why he didn't get caught. Or, oh, look how sloppy he was, that's why he did get caught. No, it's just meaningless. It's just nothing is addressed. Oh, he just gets away with it. Right, everyone in the world he's in is fake and doesn't really care, so they either cover it up or they whatever. It's all in his head. It's just not much of a payoff for all those scenes that, again, in retrospect, have no value. Then you could just leave those Willem Dafoe scenes out of it and it would be fine, because there's nothing, right? You don't see him one final time. And again, Eyes Wide Shut is the same thing, where you have Eyes Wide Shut, again, you have all the scenes of intrigue or threat by the cult, and what's the payoff? Nothing. Literally nothing. Right? Nothing happens, whether positive or negative. He gets taken away by the cult, he exposes the cult, he gets Ziegler arrested, who knows? Right, so it doesn't have to be like a happy ending or a positive payoff. So that's the thing, is that you get the payoff with respect to this dude. The again, think about the number of scenes. You have the party scene, you have the, him being threatened there, you have him, questioning the guy at the hotel about Nick, you have him getting the letter once he drives up to the fence, you have him being followed down the street. So all those scenes don't matter because, it's just about his sexual repression and obsession and infidelity and all this. Like, that might be the overall theme, but if you're going to commit half the movie and all these scenes, so what meaning was there in him getting that letter at the gate? Nothing. What meaning was there in the guy following him down the street? Nothing. What meaning was there in, looking for Nick at the hotel? None of those things have any payoff. Is Nick actually okay at the end? Is he not? It's just all loose ends that don't have any payoff. Not saying what the payoff should be. Right, so I don't even know what I was saying in here at this point, but whatever. We'll just don't care about a lot of these, don't have anything interesting to say about them, or maybe haven't seen them, especially sequels. I don't really care. Oh yeah, Get Out is very overrated. It's one of the least subtle movies ever, I think is what I said. Just like the way they're acting towards him at the party, they're just very on the nose. Like from the beginning of the movie, it's just always, it doesn't build up to it in like a subtle way, like, oh look, these people are racist, or there's going to be some, no, it just starts off immediately, right? The cop is already doing that. The family immediately talks about like an Olympic runner and makes some comment there as soon as he comes in, right, for the first time to meet them. Then when he's at the party, they're kind of ogling him and talking about him in that way the whole time. And then even like they're having like an auction in the open, right, in a very conspicuous way, that when he's like right there not too far away, like they're just doing that out in the open. So it's like one of the least subtle movies ever. And it gets a lot of credit maybe for that. Oh, look, it's dealing with a social issue, so therefore it's a great movie. Like, no, it's, if you take that away, pretend it didn't have that dynamic, and it was just the same sort of material and setting and everything like that. Like, just a guy goes to meet his girlfriend's parents and they're out to kill him or something for whatever reason. They just don't like him. They don't want him to be with the daughter. Then what? It would be the same thing. Right, like it's not that good. So it's getting special credit just for maybe the subject matter dealing with that, but it deals with it even in a very unsubtle way, hands-on, and it also deals with it in a way that's just not very clever or creative. And it, again, that might be some of the motivation behind obviously what they're doing, but so what? It's like, it's just not a very good movie. If you take that element away and pretend like, again, it's not about that. It's not that special. And even, again, it's always almost using that as a pretense. Like, oh, you can't criticize that, otherwise, whatever. Or, like, it deserves some special attention or credit. So I think that's very, very overrated. It's not terrible, but it's, again, it would be kind of average if it wasn't for that.